Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in. And as always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. Hey, I want to touch on the Don Lemon being fired from CNN a few days ago. I want to touch on that. In case y'all don't know, he got let go sometime this week. Say he'd been there 17 years, and he said that he didn't see it coming. But a lot of us people, a lot of us black people, we knew the writing was on the wall, because on live TV, he's, I guess, out there trying to tell the truth or tell his own truth, telling his opinion, what he feel, even if it's, even he come out with facts, he's going against the status quo, going against the narrative. And them folks don't like that when you do that. It don't matter how many years you've been there. Say been there 17 years. He was black. He's part of the LGBTQRS, excuse me, LMNOP community. So I guess he thought he had that, I guess he was feeling himself. Thought that he was invincible, right? So anyway, as he found out he wasn't, he got fired. He said he didn't know, he had no clue that it was going to happen. It just came out of nowhere. But then CNN said that, yeah, we kind of told him, we offered him this job or this position. He didn't want to take it. So he knew we needed to make changes. He wasn't willing to make the changes. But have you, hell, he had like a primetime show, and then, got moved because of some stuff that he said. So like I say, he may have didn't think that they was gonna fire him, but come on. Like I said, when you see changes like that, man, you got to make moves. And what I wanted to do for this video, and shout out to Philip Scott, because he did a video about Don Lemon getting fired, and he gave his own testimony. And while listening to him, I said, man, you know what? I think that's something that all of us brothers should need to do. Give our testimonies on how we were treated at jobs. Because, a lot of times people hear a story, them folk will hear a story from us, and they look at us like we're crazy. Like, oh, it's just a one-off. Doesn't happen all the time. But I think if more of us come out and say, tell what happened, then I'm not worried about, let's say this, I'm not worried about them folk believing us, having sympathy for us, because bottom line, when it comes down to it, if it's them or us, you already know. But that's anybody though. If it's you or me, it's gonna be, it's gonna be me. I'm gonna look out for me first. So, but anyway, yeah. So like you saw the title, Don Lemon got fired, and you can too. Like I said, I wanted to give a testimony about this job I had. One of my first jobs, actually, yeah, as a living on my own adult. I worked at this warehouse. This is around about 1996, okay? My ex was pregnant. With our first child, what have you, moved out the house, gonna go ahead and take care of my business, my responsibilities. Let's go out here and get this job, I was working at a little Walmart for a few months, and then it's, making like $6, $7, something like that an hour. And then this other job opportunity came for me to work at this warehouse, like through a temp service. And it started out like $8 an hour. Again, we're talking about 1996. Living in a 1-bedroom apartment, $425, all bills paid. Living manageable bills. Not hard to pay the rent. And got 2 cars, no car note. Yeah, we could do it. What I'm saying? It was, trust me, it was in the hood, but hey, what it is, what it is. It's whatever. Anyway, so I remember young, starting out, working my tail off, right? And because the supervisor tell you, man, you're coming in, you're green, but if you learn this, and you learn that, you know, you try to excel, you go above and beyond, and it'll look good on your review when your review come around next year. So I'm working my tail off. Review comes around, and that first year you get all these monthly raises, these 3 months, 6 months raise. That's what everybody. So went from like $8.50 to like $10 an hour, something like that. So when the real raise come around, the real review come around, and I'm thinking, oh man, I'm finna get a good raise. They tell me, they come with all these things like, you remember back 6 months ago when you did this, but that kind of hurt you, and like again, but I hadn't even been working there a year. You know what I'm saying? So the point is, they try to come with all these reasons is why you're not going to get a big raise. When if you've been high up in corporate America, like working in management, you realize how it works. Corporate wise, they, country wise or whatever, economy wise, they have a standard, and they'll say, okay, this year we'll give 4% raise. This year, the max you can give is 5% raise. Now you gotta figure out how to, divvy it out to all your employees to where the most that you give everybody is 4%. So the problem is, if you have, let's say, if all your employees, it's got to be like an average of like so many percentage, like 5 or whatever. So let's say if you think somebody's worth 5%, okay, but then that means this person may not get nothing, or may get 1%. Okay, well, this person get 4%, that person get 1%. So that's like, that's how, it works out. So, or to get this amount of money, so that means this person only get. So now you got to justify why you're only giving this person this rate. Matter of fact, I remember going into a review at this job, and the supervisor gave me my paper. He gave me a copy. He didn't give me the original. He didn't even show me the original, to tell you the truth. Gave me the copy, and I'm looking hard too. And I noticed that it looked like there were some numbers that may have been whited out on the original, and he wrote the new number in on the original, whatever. Then gave me the copy, because you can still see what do you call it? You still see the white out markings. You see the markings like on the copy that the numbers have been changed. So right there and there, I knew it was time for me to get ready to make a move, because this is a bullcorn. Well, let's say like this. I stayed that job 10 years. And what made me want to leave is, one, there was a lead that was there. I remember his first name was James. I can't remember his last name, but let's call him JP Pratt. Let's call him JP. And I remember he had been there at this company for years. Now, most people that was there had been there like 10, 15, 20 years before I even got there. But anyway, JP had been there for years, and he was a lead brother. And worked hard on his game. He was serious about his job. So we kind of might have had didn't see eye to eye on something, but respectively, we knew how to talk to each other like men when there was a problem, and we, we hashed it out. We weren't gonna sit here and let things just boil over to where things, become emotional outbreaks and stuff like that, because we had to work together. Well, anyway, I remember a supervisor job. The supervisor that we had either moved, he moved up or what have you, and the position came open. Everybody like, well, shoot, JP is like next in line to get it, because nobody else in the building, well, on the warehouse, didn't want it. So we were like, shoot, JP is a shoo-in. He should be, because he been running this dock like a boss. I remember JP goes and gets the interview. I remember when he comes into work, he comes in with his with his slacks, shirt and tie or whatever, and in the cleaner's bag, brought and put in his locker. So that way when his interview came, he would look the part. So there wouldn't be no reason for them to say, well, you came to the interview, because he had to work that day. So the interview was like at a certain time, but he had to work that day. So he said, when he got ready for the interview, he's gonna go in there, change, Don't put his suit, don't put his shirt and tie on. Go in there and have the interview. You know that brother did not get the job. They gave it to one of their own folk, some little office square who really shouldn't have been in there. They gave him the job. Matter of fact, they said this same guy came and worked on the warehouse and got a job in the warehouse and didn't last long and ended up going to the office. I think he worked in the office, ended up trying to, applying for a job, getting a job in the warehouse, couldn't cut it, went back to the office. But now you're gonna give him the supervisor job. He took that and ran with it. And JP didn't get the job, and everybody, was like, man, that's cold, that's not right. How the heck, you know what I'm saying? How the heck you gonna look over JP like that? So that rubbed me the wrong way. Cause I've always been like kind of, militant since junior high. Pro-black since junior high. So it's like, you know what I'm saying, he did a brother wrong. So I'm like, okay, I see how that goes. JP had been here for years. Me and my original supervisor, like I said, yeah, he moved up to a higher position or whatever, but he was still the one giving like the reviews and stuff. Me and him clashed. Didn't see eye to eye, because when he told me that bullcorn about doing a great job and look good on your review, and then the review comes around and you give me this little piss ass raise, like 1%, 2%, I'm like, oh heck no, we ain't finna do that. So then after that, at that point, I just did enough to make quota to keep my job. I wasn't about to go above and beyond, because it was for nothing. For what? And they didn't like it. And hell, even one of my homeboys that used to work there named AB, I remember when I had left, he told me, like, man, whatever his name, I ain't gonna say his name, but boss man, been trying to get rid of you for 10 years, but he couldn't fire you because, one, you did your job, and two, you came to work every day. He just didn't like you. He didn't like your attitude. Because I'm like, shoot, man, and that's just the type of person I am. I guess it's like a nonchalant, you know what I'm saying, kind of got a, flip and fly at the mouth type dude, but it ain't disrespectful. It's just, I just say what I hear, like, say what I feel. Like, when I was looking at the review, and he said, well, I kind of disagreed with it, kind of low. And he was like, well, he tried to show me all these stats. He said, well, numbers don't lie. And I said, no, but the people that put them in do. And I think at that moment, it was like, but I didn't care, because it's like, dude, you're bullcorning me. I might be young, but I ain't stupid, I see how I see how the game go. But anyway, so JP didn't get the job, so that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And then there was another guy, a brother who was a supervisor. And so we just talk about him, because I used to talk about him. I say I won't put nobody else on the bus, say myself. I thought kind of throw it off on him, because it seemed like he was a square, like, corny. Seemed, just, I don't know, but everybody, he just rubbed me the wrong way. Again, gotta think about, I was young, not really thinking on a corporate business level, stuff like that, on the super educated level, whatever. I'm thinking this dude's like, just, anyway, derogatory terms for black people who try to be white. Just think of that one. And I recall one day I got hurt playing basketball away from work, so I was out for like a few weeks for rehab or whatever, because I had to have like my meniscus cleaned out and like a few weeks out. So while I was gone, I had to come back up there and let them know when I'm coming back to December 3rd. And the word on the street was that they gave him a different job, not a job he even asked for. They moved him, like, but they moved him over. They moved him somewhere and put one of their own people in the position that he had. Now, he was a high up supervisor, like up there. And they moved him to some other position. And so I asked, when I saw him, I was like, man, I heard, they moved you this, that, and the third. He's like, oh yeah, well, it's sort of like a lateral move. I'm like, man, come on now. Like, seriously, let's be honest. So I saw how they did that brother like that. So I'm like, man, you know what? it's just jacked up the way they're doing. Now, again, brother got to work, got to pay his bills, take care of his family, whatever the case may be. So I'm like, it is what it is, but I got to start making plans to get up out of here. The final straw was that same brother, there was something happened to where there was like theft in the warehouse, right? And they found out who it was, and they pretty much put the blame on him because he was supervisor, right? Although he had no knowledge of what was going on, this and the third, I don't know all the details, but they blamed him. So instead of him, I don't know if they fired him or whatever, but he ended up going to I think he put his resignation in. They said he got to move on. Now, he had been like 20-something years. You know what I'm saying? Now, me, young, I'm thinking, man, working 20-something years, he should be ready to retire pretty soon. Because my dad, he worked for the city and the county. Well, he worked for the city while I was growing up. After 20-something years, he retired. Then went and worked for the county for a few years and then retired from that too. So, this man, his 50s and 60s ain't working. Unless he wants to, substitute teaching, whatever the case may be. Or doing, going back to work for the county appraiser, all that kind of stuff. But I'm thinking, hell, 25 years, you should be retiring and, going out there in Bullet Corner for a little while, but not do 20-something years and you went to going to another company down the street. And so when I saw him leave, because I thought he would never leave, I'm like, well, they did him dirty the first time. He ain't going to work, this old square dude. When I saw him leave, that's when I said to myself, I got to make moves to get out of here, because if he can do it, I gotta do it, because there ain't no future here. I'm looking at my fellow employees. Majority of them are black. A lot of them been there 20, 30 years working on these docks. I saw one brother that worked with us. He died. He got sick. He would come to work, because they don't pay much in warehouse. It seemed like they do. But I think when I left, I was making like $13.30 an hour. But I left, went to another warehouse making like $13, but they said if you stayed there 2 years, I'd probably making like $17. So I had to make the move. So he left, and that's what made me want to leave, because I saw how they were doing us. When you see all these brothers on the dock in the warehouse, they trying to work them like dogs, and nobody's getting a position higher, because when the other guy, the other supervisor, when he went to another job, one of us didn't. They didn't give us one of his. They didn't give one of us his position at all. So that's like I said, that is what made me say, hey, I got to get up and I got to move around. So went to another warehouse job, but said to myself, I'm going to go back to school to get a degree, because I'm like, this stuff ain't paying money. I got kids, got two of them by this time. I got 2 kids, two girls, and girls get expensive, all expensive, and they get expensive the older they get. Even when they move out your house, they cost you money. So I'm like, I got to go do something different. So I ended up going back to school, to get a nursing degree. Took a while to do it because I was too involved. I ain't gonna say too involved, but I was very involved in my children's lives, whether it was school, extracurricular activities, or whatever the case may be. I'm there all day, every day. So it was kind of rough. Had to go through different jobs, living paycheck to paycheck, living off credit cards, living off 401ks, living off donating plasma. I mean, I'm up here trying to make it, but and it's funny because everything, I think the way that I went through it, it humbled me, because now that I look at it and I've had this degree and been in this, field for like 5 years, I'm making real good money. I can go anywhere and make money pretty much. As long as I keep my license and keep it in good standards, I can go anywhere and get it, get a job anywhere, anytime, pretty much, all over the country, all over the world, because there's always a need. I say I was blessed. I was blessed to get it, blessed, and still blessed to have it right now. Because everybody don't have, everybody So everybody hadn't been, hadn't done it. But yeah, matter of fact, one of the jobs I did have, let's say with the, I went to work at the VA as a nurse, and it was kind of weird because the department I went to, I remember getting the interview. And we're talking about the VA. I remember getting the interview, and there had to been at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 8, 9 sisters, brothers and sisters, what have you, that was working in that department. Now the VA takes a long time. You have an interview, background check, it takes months. Sometimes take a person like a year and 8 or 18 months to start working. For me, it took about 6 or so, 6 to 8 months. So it wasn't as bad. I remember, like I said, when I did the interview, there was a bunch of us there. By the time I got there, it was just 2 or 3. And then they hired a few more. So, but what had happened, but while I'm working there, what I'm hearing is the reason why they hired me and hired this other sister was because basically we were like quota. Because there was a lawsuit, a race or discrimination lawsuit that was pending from an ex-employee to the supervisor that was there before I got there, and then she either quit or got fired or whatever, or got moved around. But there was a lawsuit for racial discrimination that was still open. I don't know what turned out from that, but so what had happened is once that was placed, then they had to go ahead and do what they need to do. So they needed to hire some more because they got rid of they were trying to get rid of all the black people. So they hired me, hired another sister, to do nursing. And then you had like a tech, and that was it. We like the only, but you had like the machine techs and stuff. That don't count. It was all black, and one older white dude who was over it. But on the floor, just me. I think it was me and 2 other people. That was it. And I go in there saying, "Oh, that's all right, man. We finna do the Black Panther move." No, I mean, yeah, we finna get more of us in the door, and they tried to do it, but it didn't work that way. Matter of fact, and I was seeing what was going on and how they were, and I ain't talking about them. These were like foreigners when they came in and took over, and they were hiring all their people. Like I said, us 2, we were just there, like I said, to fill a quota. They were hiring all their people, so even like after a while, that's how it went. It kept going that way. So I was like, man, and I enjoy what I'm doing, really do. But I said, I can't stay here because I don't like the way, I don't like what I'm seeing and what's going on. So I, end up leaving there and going back to going back to my old employer full time. But the thing is, my point is, like I said, a lot of people don't, I ain't gonna say a lot of people. People try to, downplay when you say that there are like racial issues out here, like racism is still alive. And it is. Unfortunately, whether you like it or not, they don't want you to talk about it. And they just want you to, just keep it on the rug and just going on about your business. And it is what it is. But something has to be said, because eventually we have to start saying enough is enough, and the best thing for us to do is to work for ourselves. Get our minds right, get the proper training. One of the biggest problems I have when I go shopping and out to these stores is this customer service, because these little heifers be having some bad attitudes, like stank attitudes, like they don't want to be there, but they ain't gonna leave. And you can't make them do this, and you can't make them talk to you any kind of way. They can't talk nice, but then you look at them funny, you say something, off the wall to them. Now they want to be the victim and everything. They want to get upset, and it's like, so that has to change. So there has to be a going back, a reversal of going back, and teaching, people, about customer service and how to treat people, how to be, business minded, so that way we can hire each other, or we can hire each other, work for each other, and everything is cordial. I know my sister, she had her own little business, and she tried to hire young sisters to work with her, and some guns ain't want to come to work, or they come to work wearing just whatever, what you call, like Crocs and sweatpants and bonnets and stuff, trying to be. And this is a professional building, professional establishment, and you want to come in here looking like you finna go to Walmart to buy some Pampers. It don't, what I'm saying? It don't make sense. So that has to be retaught, retaught, and so we can help each other. And we also need to, like I say, start our own businesses. We need to be self-employed, no matter what. You gotta think about it. If you say you can be self-employed and employed at the house, and you stay at the house, you'd be surprised the money you would save. Just think about this. I met a lady the other day who said that, she's retired. She don't make, hell, even my dad, say, they're retired. They don't make the money that they used to, but they come to find out once they retire that they didn't need all that money in the first place. Because, you don't need to go out to eat all the time. You ain't driving all the time. So, you're saving on the wear and tear of your car. You're saving on food because you can eat at home most of the time. Your sanity, you ain't stressing yourself, but you do still need to kind of get some do exercise, stay active, because a lot of people retire from jobs and they're dead in a couple of years because they're not doing nothing. Their whole life was based on that job, and now throughout the day you ain't doing, they're not doing nothing, so they lose their mind, going crazy and dying. But we need to do for self. And like I say, you ain't gonna need, like I say, you realize you don't need all that money, and basically, if you do got retirement 401k, 9 times out of 10, if you got the 401k from your job and they just match, most of them don't match dollar for dollar. Most of them like up to a quarter per dollar, something like that, up to a certain amount. So they're not matching all that money, but you will realize that a lot of times these 401ks, you ain't gonna be able to retire with it because you won't have enough money. You have to invest in stuff like mutual funds and IRAs and start early and putting in, up until like 10,000, and then leave it alone for like 20 years, and you'll have like, a couple of million in the bank. But you need to start with that, early. But 401k, unless you're getting that high risk, which you mess around and lose all your money overnight, unless you get into that and max out, 401k, you can't retire from it. But you can use that, pull it out, use it to invest in a business that you want to start, and invest in yourself to try to do for yourself, because ain't nothing like being able to be free. Because I tell you what, one last little piece from my warehouse job. When I had put my 2-week notice in to quit, the supervisor was like, man, he said, man, so you quitting? I said, oh yeah. I said, man, I used to always wonder, cause you never wanted to work overtime, and you would even take off days, didn't even have vacation day. I wonder how you did that. And I'm like, why is it dude all in my pockets like this? But what I had did was, what had happened was, sitting outside, I think I was leaving during lunch or whatever, I don't know, it was outside on break or whatever of the warehouse. Everybody go to break same time. One week sitting outside, and it was like a lot of overtime that was given and stuff, and there was quite a few new cars sitting out there in the parking lot. And one of the supervisors, one of those trying to be a little smart ass, but I listen to everything and I take everything in, and I learn from it and live off of it. One supervisor said, man, I sure hope everybody ain't, he said, oh, all these new cars, I sure hope everybody ain't living off this overtime, because this ain't gonna last forever. And he kept walking. And nobody said nothing. They kind of laughed and giggled, but I'm sitting there like, that dude, he making sense. So he's making a lot of sense. I need to learn how to readjust my the money I make, and and give me a financial plan and learn how to live off the 40 hours. And that's what I did. So I did it to where I didn't need the overtime. A lot of people, they wanted the overtime. When the supervisor say, man, we got mandatory overtime starting next week, I raised my hand to say, how can we make this not mandatory for everybody? Because I don't want to do it. Everybody like, oh man, you crazy, man, I need to get the overtime, make all this money. First of all, I ain't making a whole lot of money, but okay. I need to know how we can turn this mandatory overtime into voluntary overtime. And he was like, well, if you do this, this, and this, we get this done, we can revisit this in 2 weeks. I say, okay, no problem. When I took to the dock, scoped out the scene, told one of my coworkers, I said, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to knock out this, because there's a whole lot of work on the dock. I said, okay, we're going to knock out these pallets first, get this stuff knocked down, and we're going to work from there. And he's like, oh, man, I don't think we can do that. That's all out of order. I'm sitting there like, man, I do not care. I said, well, look, you go. I said, I tell you what, you go in order if you want to. I'm grabbing all this other big stuff, get this stuff off the dock, because the dock looking ridiculous. We knock this stuff down. I don't care about production. I don't care about none of that. Stuff in order. The dock is, if we go in order, this thing's going to stay backed up for weeks and months and will never catch up. Like I say, and I ain't sitting here trying to do overtime all day, every day. That just ain't me. Long story short, 2 weeks later, man, I don't know how you did it, but you knocked it out. So yeah, overtime is not mandatory. Peace. And I'm going after my 8 hours. And so when I got ready to leave, supervisor like, man, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? You didn't want overtime, you know what I'm saying? You would take days off, because it'd be days I say I need these days off. And they said, well, you don't have no vacation. I need them days off. He said, all right, but you won't get paid. I need this week off. Period. Because of money, my money was straight. I budgeted my money right, because I didn't want to fully depend on them for anything. I want them to understand, yes, I work so I can pay bills, but no, y'all ain't finna slave drive me. And I'm gonna show y'all not finna slave drive me, because I'm finna do this my way. And this goes back to like late 20s, early 30s is how I did it. And I've been doing like that ever since. I can't have nobody being the master over me. Nobody, no human being can be the master over me. No human being can't do it. Especially when it comes to money. I'm gonna make my money how I make my money. I'm gonna spend it how I spend it. What I do is none of your business. You can sit there and do this to other people and make them believe that they need you, but I am not. I don't. And then I had experience too in the warehouse. Man, come on, I can leave here and go anywhere else and get another job. Come on, we ain't tripping on that. But anyway, that's all I got, man. I just want to put that, like I said, a little testimony out. Hopefully, other people will do the same thing. Other brothers will do that. And sisters, if you got stories too, y'all can do it too. I'm sure there's some out there. But anyway, tell me what you think. Like I said, leave your story below. Leave your comments below. And then share it with the world. And then, like I say, put your story out there. You can leave stories down there. And so we can have a good read and we can comment and dialogue. It's all good too. But hey, Don Lemon, no matter what Don Lemon has said, whether it's coonish behavior, people call it, I don't know, anti-black, I don't know. Some things he said I agree with that a lot of people didn't like. He said, for the black community to do better, pull your pants up, pick your trash up, stop calling people white when they read books. I've seen all that, and I agree with that stuff. But some people don't like. Some people just don't like to be called out. That's the problem. People like to stay in doing demonic, non-productive behavior. People like that. I don't know why, but that's just what they. So those type of people are the ones that get mad at anybody who say something. Me, I listen to the message. I don't care if it's black, white, Hispanic, whoever. Hey, if you say something that makes sense, that that's real life, and I can learn from, yeah, I'll run with it. I may not like you, I may not like the way you said it, might cuss you out, banish you from my life forever, but I take heed to the information. No doubt. But anyway, That's all I got. Like I said, leave your comments below and then share it with the world. And with that being said, I leave you in peace.